How do I explain? I don't think Insurgent's problem was... I don't think Insurgent's problem was their players. I think Insurgent's problem in that match was just their team cohesion and communication wasn't on... You know, they weren't working together as a team.
And on top of that, too, it actually looks like they're going to swap Martin into the support role and then put Shout into the AD carry position. So a bit of a complete change-up coming out here for their bot lane.
Interesting.
As the Kali going to remain the same for Insurgent, as it's going to be their first ban here. And actually, Axis, they said, you know what, that's Sejuani.
No pig. No pig.
No pigs. No pigs allowed. It was too powerful from us. We cannot allow you to first pick it. As well as the Azir being knocked out here by Insurgent. So really keeping their mid lane focus here toward Karina.
Karma V ran out's a very staple ban. We've only seen her let through once, and it was instantly first picked. Someone tried to throw a Z into it. It worked to kill Karma, and then Karma came online. It's just like, nobody in my team dies.
That's pretty standard right there. Vlad also being banned out here by Insurgent. So again, a lot of focus here onto the mid lane pool when it comes to Axis as far as bans go. We'll see, what does Axis want to get rid of? Yeah,
of course.
Kiana.
Kiana's just too strong. Very overtuned AD assassin. A couple of tweaks would be enough to nerf her right now, but she just brings too much to the table. She's short range, but at the same time, has so much mobility. So all her weaknesses are made up by her kit.
And especially when you take those jungle fights, it can be pretty devastating because you're usually all within close proximity to a wall anyway, so you're likely going to get stunned up with that ultimate. First pick, though, coming out here for Insurgent, they're putting Shout, like, you know, they're subbing in a new player, and then you're throwing them on Sivir.
We haven't seen Sivir played yet in the LST over the 2 best-of-3s we had yesterday.
Was banned.
It's been banned out twice.
Ooh, the Yuumi, though, here for side here of Axe will be actually a very nice pickup, so we're going to be seeing the friendly cat down in bot lane.
We see a lot of red side Yuumi picks, which is surprising because supports like Nautilus is still left open. Two very well into picks like Yuumi. We saw Thresh thrown into Yuumi yesterday, and that was a disaster of a lane for Yuumi. It's going to work out very well for her. We're going to get Jarvan locked in for Axis. Jarvan has been a staple jungle pick in the LST and still see it being played quite a bit. It's only picked once, but being banned out quite heavily in the LST so far.
Easy engage coming out with that flag drag. You also have the Cataclysm to lock down targets, so especially someone who doesn't have like a dash like that Sivir can easily lock them down without the flash being available, so Shout's going to have to try and save that later on into the game. Gragas, though, being picked up here on the side for Hopeless, possibly.
Seen once yesterday as well, being played in the jungle. Nothing too crazy just yet. The Nautilus pick does come. I'd like to see the Nautilus into the Yuumi pick. Just makes sense. Yuumi jumps into one target, so if Nautilus can lock one person down, Yuumi can't really run away. And you can't really provide the extra target, the extra support, like a traditional support would. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, Blaze, you're going to pick that into a Nautilus? That's gutsy.
That's some flexing going on from Axis.
That's really gutsy, Blaze. He's locking it in, making a statement. He says, point and click CC, what's that? I feel like that's going to hurt.
Look.
All right, so you're going to...
Caspio better have a plan for this bottom lane.
Yeah.
Because Sivir Nautilus into this should be pretty painful.
Yeah, and you're also picking this into that. Like, it's not like it was countered. No, it was... You pick the Vayne into, like, a Nautilus. Level 6, you should be dead.
Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I've gotten 3 things wrong so far in the LSC. I'm very upset by it.
Oh. Yeah, you're Mr. Always Right.
I got Misfortune's build wrong during Spring Split. When someone built a Blade of the Ruined King, I was like, no, that's not right. And then I went to Pro Builder's meta build for Misfortune. I was like, oh, okay. And then I got the Ashe build wrong yesterday, Essence Zero Trinity Force. And I was like, what? That makes sense, but doesn't feel like the best build for Ashe.
Yeah, that's pretty popular in the other regions.
And then I went to Pro Builds. I was like, oh, okay, this is the #1 build. Maybe Yuumi Vayne does very well into Sivir Nautilus.
We'll have to see here as we get into our second ban phase. Aatrox being taken away. Shine will not have, as you coined it, Evil Riven in the top lane this time around. And the LeBlanc and Nico actually being banned out here. So Belby actually takes some hits, but there's still Corki up and available. maybe that's what Axis wants to try and go for here. Would make it a pretty long-range comp, but be very susceptible to that Nautilus engage.
I wonder if Insurgent did the same thing, which is, yeah, banning out Shine's champions. I think you have to. Shine's already proved he can go toe-to-toe against Polar in the top lane, but I didn't like the draft that Insurgent put together for Polar in that last match. That's the key matchup that we're focusing on today. Shine taking on Polar. Shine should have the upper hand. He's very notorious for his solo lane split pushing capabilities, so it makes sense that Insurgent want to shut that down.
Victor going to be locked in here once again by Carino. So going to have that wave clear available once again. We're going to put down a gravity field. Had some decent moments in that last game there. It wasn't the star carry like we saw with the Shine, but it did do its job.
It's just one of his signature picks as well. Carino is very potent on his Victor pick, so doesn't make sense for Axis to deviate away from a carry that's working so well for Axis. All right, now they've got a very staple, let's fight them in mid-game composition, though. I mean, Vayne will come online in the mid-game. He's a hyper carry in the late game as well.
You're going to pop open a cannon here, possibly. With that Sivir ultimate, gets the cannon easily into that back line by just simply running straight at them.
Nah!
Or a Gnar. Gnar being picked up here, possibly. Polar's going to lock it in. That is still, you know, you're leaving that up for a counter pick.
Yeah, what does Shine play into Gnar? I know he would have liked to have Renekton right now, but that's been taken away. Does he just pick up his Irelia and try and take him down toe-to-toe in the lane? Shiro was touting that on Twitter, that, you know, Shine could just pick up Irelia and just go ham on people. Another one of his comfort picks, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, we're going to have the Vanguard's Edge coming through here for the Irelia pickup on Shine. Especially as well, you mentioned that mid-game fight composition that might come out here from the side of Axis. Pick that up with that Irelia once she gets 1 or 2 items onto the board. You put down that ultimate, get a stun here and there, and you Blade Surge to the rest of the team. Especially into the Gnar too. That's going to be really up to Polar to not get killed often in that lane.
I mean, I like Insurgent's composition much more coming into this match. I feel like now they have the tools to fight in the mid-game, much safer in the laning phase as well. Don't like Axis's composition as much as I like their previous one.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set for Game 2 between Insurgent and Axe. It appeared we had a slight little bit of a disconnect loading into the game, so the players were able to go ahead, remake the lobby, and all is the same here as we head on into the Rift. Again, Game 2, Axis ahead by 1 game here in the first match of our night.
Yeah, someone's client had a very fun bug, decided to update halfway through loading into a game.
How is it possible to update? We're on tournament route. Yeah, that's a weird one.
It got fixed, so we're back into the game. Did someone just fly off the map during our flight?
Did you see that too?
Yeah.
You saw like the name just kind of
Woo!
fly.
Just flicked him off the map. He's like, bye-bye.
That sometimes can happen, you know, with the observer tool. Sometimes. That's why usually I disable the name bars, but who knows? It's fine. They're back on the Rift, and that's all that matters. They're here with us here now. And now is where you need to be.
Are you?
I'm trying to be deep or something, but it ain't working out here.
Don't. You're like 13. Don't do that.
Excuse me. I'm like
13 in a month.
13 in a month. Oh, boy.
We have Caspiel starting on the red side of his jungle. Didn't look like he got a leash. It actually looked like Vayne and Plane and Yuumi fake leashed it for him. So he's on the bottom side of the map. Gragas went straight red to Krugs, which is the highest EXP route. Look at this, Polar already having a much better time in the top lane, able to get some poke damage on towards Shine very early on.
Yeah, those early levels, you know, Gnar can get a little bit of poke damage, just because of that range advantage, obviously, in the mini form. You know, once Shine, though, gets a couple points into some skills, then he can go in for some 1v1s, especially in that melee zone, too. As, like you mentioned as well, before we headed into the game, naturally, Sivir will always be usually pushing in toward the tower. You got that Ricochet always available, so...
I mean,
safe lane.
It's fleet footwork in the top lane for Nah too, which we need to point out. So he's going to have some sustain up there as well, which will help him out. You know, continue to poke out Aurelia whenever he takes damage from creeps and be able to heal that one up nicely. Bottom lane, it was Martin and Shout who hit level 2 first. But Blaze as well as Chili, they look completely fine in the bottom lane for now.
Like we saw with Blaze and Chili, playing rather safe. Didn't want to get that level 2 Nautilus engage possibility coming out there. So instead, just opting back off. Let that wave push back to them as they farm this one up. And, you know, for your mid and bot lane, it's mainly just going to be farm lanes across the board. The real only action is usually going to be our featured matchup, whether that's up in the top lane or how the jungles react. And look at this. Hopeless able to cheekily get that Scuttle Crab before Caspiel and Karina are able to walk over.
It did the good thing, which is hold on to your smite. Make sure you use it only if you have to, which he needed to there, making sure that nobody could seal it away. Look at this. Shine's been pushed in underneath his turret, but he's still a full wave above Polar in terms of farm.
Now, is that more or less Shine, you know, just being really good at farming, or is that Polar just kind of missing stuff?
Polar has to have messed up because Shine, he's taken Conqueror, which is, you know, standard on Relics, no fleet footwork, no real regeneration or sustain, and hasn't popped a single pot. So Polar's done something wrong in this lane to fall by about 6 years. Doesn't matter all that much, just a fun fact. Hasn't been able to poke out Aurelia. So Aurelia's going to get very scary. Now has a few levels in all her abilities, so can start to actually do things like this.
Yeah, immediately gets that stun, gets the Blade Surge down, has another one available, and can just keep chasing Polar. Polar forced to flash away. And honestly, it's a rough one here for Polar if he's not able to get that poke down early.
Yeah, I don't get the Nah pick. Look, Nah does well into certain matchups and can dominate a lot of matchups, but with, you know, the small nerfs he's had many seasons ago, actually, the Nah nerfs came in. I think any champion with a gap closer can really take it to Nah, especially someone like Aurelia. If Shine sets it up like that, getting the stuns down, and then jumps on top of Nah, gets the reset on the Blaze Surge, he's just going to continually harass Polar when he's in mini, and he can't fight. And the biggest point about Nah is when he's in mini, he's meant to be able to poke people out, but he can't do that anymore.
On top of that, too, you're going to feather in some of those auto attacks that come out from the Aurelia because you have that passive now stacked up because you're actually going for the fight. So early on, that extra little bit of damage just might be too much here for Polar as he's forced to actually back off, and Shine's going to hold on to the teleport as well. Yep. If they maybe want to go for a fight here.
And it's exactly a rinse repeat of what happened in the last game. Shine goes back to base, gets a triple longsword start. That's brutal, especially with the fact that he's got Corrupting Potion. Polar's going to be in such a bad position with the wave bouncing back in Shine's favor. He's got a ganking jungler of Jarvan in his back pocket too, who is clearing the bottom side of the jungle. So if he doesn't see, you know, bot side as a huge point of interest, he can always just head up towards top lane and be like, you know what, Nah's pushing in against Aurelia. That's free gank city. And Shine's done it again. Like, he doesn't need to win this lane, but the fact that he's burnt Flash and Teleport already means for the next 5 minutes or so, Axis have the potential to try and force fights towards bottom side of the map if Caspiel doesn't want to show himself towards top lane, and Shine could be there. Whereas Polar, who has the better teleport potential, being Nah, teleporting in, getting Mega and ulting, is huge, can't do it anymore.
And he just ran out of his Mega Gnar form. Shine, though, does not have level 6. Going to Blade Surge underneath tower, and that's going to be first blood going on to the Aurelia.
Shine actually does not care, Opal. Level 5, he sees that Polar drops down into mini form, and he says, you know what, it's time to go. If he keeps hitting these stuns, there is actually nothing that could Polar can do, and he has a freeze for himself. Shine will probably tick over to level 7. Polar's going to have to come into lane, and he needs Gragas on the top side of the map. But Gragas has to go bottom side because Red Buff just respawned.
Hey, take another look here, Shine. Now, I even had to use the flash underneath tower to get that final auto in too as well, which is very nice. Keeps all the summoners up for himself if a fight were to break out immediately after this.
Shine was my player to watch during the spring split of the LST. Whenever he was subbed in for Kiro, he brought a different dynamic to Axis. Whenever they didn't need that staple, rock, tanky, team-fighting beast of Kiro, they bring in Shine, who was the X factor of Axis. He could split push to victory. He would, you know, take down some of the toughest opponents in the league and style on them. And now he's starting for Axis, and he's begun exactly where he left off, which is going to town.
Vanguard's edge is pop, late surge is used, Shine got the Conqueror ticking, and the passive, one more will do it, and here we go with the Triumph, and gets out of tower range, another solo kill in the top lane.
Flashes in for a nice big solo play. He's already acquired a nice 150 gold bounty on top of himself. Looking absolutely devastating the top lane. Big CS lead as well. Getting the experience lead too. I don't think there's anything Polar can really do except accept his fate and farm underneath the turret. Yeah,
because at this point you're just trying to be useful later for those team fights.
And if you are hopeless right now, Gragas.
I was about to say, I'm like, I don't know if it's that dire yet, Fish.
If you're Gragas right now, what do? Mid lane's a control mage matchup where Corki gets the push early against Victor. Bottom lane's being very nicely held by Blaze and Chili, just off the turret, making sure that, there's no initiation potential that's going to come out from Martin. Sacrifice a bit of CS here and there, take a bit of damage and just keep it off the turret instead. Where do you go? I mean, he can take Cloud Dragon like this. He doesn't get spotted out. Oh, you better smite that. Yeah, good play.
There he is.
You can do things like steal away Cloud Dragon, but where do you go? If you go towards top side of the map, if Jarvan is within striking distance, if he's nearby, that's it. That's a double kill. Don't you dare die to those chickens.
He gets his passive. Give him some trust now.
But then now Shine's just an absolute beast, so it takes a bit of damage there. But he's absolute beast in the top lane. Polar can't realistically fight him anymore.
Not at this point, too, because now you have Phage completed on top of some additional attack speed for the feathered autos just to be a little faster.
It's going to be silly.
Yeah, no, Polar, you're going to have to farm underneath the tower. Sure, you can become huge and Mega Gnar, but you'll get shredded apart.
And this is the pick that Kiro, and Hungry Kid were saying watch out for. Belby, though, forced a flash. Nice play from Caspiel. Just burns the flash for his ultimate. Flash on a much longer cooldown than the Jarvan ult is.
But now realizing, too, that this Aurelia is so far ahead of the top lane counterpart of Polar, can already see that pressure push in on the top wave, and then immediately, with Caspiel, go for a 2v1 or a 2v2 in the jungle.
I think the best bet right now for Axis is if Hopeless can hover around top side of the map, make sure that no dive threat goes over towards Polar, and then, when Polar's teleports back up, allow Polar to stay underneath the turret, rotate towards the bottom lane because Martin and Shout have this big push, use the package, and get a 5-man dive bottom lane. I think that's the only way that Insurgent can realistically fight back after Shine has done what Shine does and put top lane in a hole. I think that's their only bet right now. They have to attack bottom lane, and they need to do it as a unit because Shine's going to teleport down there, Karina's going to teleport down there, so you need to get the jump.
Hopeless has snuck his way into the brush, but you see Blaze and Chili playing very passive here. Realizes Martin, being this far forward, realize something is up. That's going to be the knockback, though, immediately there. And they try and focus down the Vayne, but here comes that Aurelia. Here comes that Victor, possibly. And now joining in onto the fight is a double teleport as Axis says, hey, it might have been one, but no, it's going to be a surprise 2-factor. And that's going to be 3 kills getting taken over by Axis for the price of Blaze.
Let's take a look at that play one by one. First, well done by Hopeless. Body bops in immediately, ulties, doesn't go for the auto attack in between since the long nerf that happened a long time ago. Gragas cast does have a cast time. Knocks him back into the team, which brings Yuumi as well. So they get a very quick kill on towards Blaze. Blaze did the right thing, was just trying to tumble into the fight, stay alive, and deal damage as long as possible. He was going to die eventually. However, the reason why I said you need to attack this bottom lane with everybody, with Polar, with the package available on Belby, is because of exactly that. Double teleport comes into the bottom lane, and then what do? You're just going to lose more members than the single kill you get on towards Blaze. And that's exactly what happened there. Then Blaze just goes, well, I've got teleport on my Vayne. I'm just going to go towards top lane, push that one back against Polars, take that farm for myself, and if we want to swap, we can swap. If not, we can just take the 3 kills, maintain the waves, swap back later on, which is exactly what they're doing now. And now the ball is in Axis' court once again. Insurgent have used their opportunity to strike at the wrong time and actually given way more advantage to Axis, who are reacting to this so beautifully.
And this is pretty much like what we saw in Game 1. Shine gets ahead either by CS or a solo kill up in that top lane. There's a quick little fight near toward the bot side of the map, and then Caspiel goes ahead, instantly picks up that Rift Herald. And if it's anything like we saw last game, now they're going to look for possibly a play in that mid lane or another side lane play within the next couple of minutes while they still have that eye available, knock it down and just push for maybe a second-tier tower.
The one benefit that Insurgent have right now is Belby and Polar both have their teleports available, and they're only 2,000 gold behind Axis. So they can realistically still turn this into turn a skirmish into an actual team fight, heavily weighted in their advantage. But I'm not quite sure where they can attack now. They could try and attack bottom lane again, but it seems like Axis, Shine, he's burned his teleport. He could just sit in top lane, and now Caspiel can shadow bot lane. Even a 3-on-4, I don't think works in favor of Insurgent right now. 3-on-4 underneath the turret, I think Axis have that one.
Chili, gonna jump over toward the Jarvan, but opts not to use the ultimate. And just a reset here coming out from Insurgent as they're trying to push back, get a little bit of vision. We did see Polar try and do the same toward topside, but he didn't actually put down any control wards or anything like that. He went and popped the scrying bloom and then just walked back up to top lane.
He can't do anything though. Polar, his wave is frozen by Shine. If we manage to get a look at top lane, you can see Shine's just holding minions off of the turret, waiting for the correct time to bounce the wave against Gnar. He's a Trinity Force against a Phage. Polar can't do anything in this matchup anymore. He needs to find a way to be effective and look for a fight somewhere else on the map.
Let's see here. Hopeless is down. That was actually the Sivir ultimate popped already by Shout as they were looking for a quick play. Marin ends up just walking directly into the brush. Blaze is going to get knocked up by the depth charge. Dodges away from Hopeless. Now 2 teleports onto the side of SG. Trying to join in onto the fight. Blaze, though, already finds the kill, and Shout's going to be taken down. Blaze, lots of damage. Here comes that Corki. Gets a decent amount back, and now Polar rejoining in onto the fight, but the Victor Laser strikes him down. Hopeless goes back onto the engage onto Caspiel. It will trade back both the jungle, but now Chili and Carino turn their attention back onto this Gragas, and Hopeless will get taken out. In the end, it's going to be a 4-for-2 in favor of Axis.
And that Opal is the play that Insurgent needed to make, but they botched the play because it was Axis that were first to strike. Again, with the composition that Axis has, the heavy burst damage coming out from Jarvan, Blaze's good damage in the mid-game, level 9 on Vayne's Grey, Yumi's quick crowd control and sudden burst. It's going to be enough for Axis to deal enough damage before the cavalry of Belby and Polar can join the fight, especially if Belby doesn't have his package available. Insurgent had the right mindset there. Get everyone in the bottom lane, force a 5-on-4, and take it to Insurgent without Shine, who has majority of his team's gold. But Carino can walk down the river. They waited way too long. Teleport's a 4-second timer. Enough time for Carino to get down there, and the fight was botched. Carino played that one beautifully. Axis knew they were going to sacrifice a few members here and there. Yes, the micro mechanics of Hopeless, canceling a flag drag combo, trying to get the Rift out. That's all great, but they needed to be much more proactive there. You can't let Axis get the jump first, especially when you're behind. They were the ones that needed to set up that play, not use the teleports reactively.
And with that, that's going to allow Axis to now sit at a 4,000 gold lead. And like you mentioned, 2,000 of that gold now on to Shine's Irelia. During that, too, did pick up the first turret of the game. And now Axis will pick up their first Dragon, too, to add on top of that. So going to get a little bit extra damage to these neutral objectives to start stacking those up later on into the game. And for the side of Insurgent, starting to look a little iffy. It's starting to look a little dire. It's similar to what we saw last game.
Unfortunately for Insurgent, they don't even have the tools that they had in the last match. They don't have the same pick potential.
Oh, here comes... Oh, Caspiel ends up using that Cataclysm right away, but still that damage that comes out from the Victor ultimate. Carino going to get knocked back there by the explosive cast, and now Polar going to finally find himself some gold on the map with the shutdown.
And that's good. He's going to be able to get some gold back for himself. Be able to stabilize a little bit. I was going to say Insurgent don't have the same pick threat that they have in the last game. Nothing like an Ashe arrow that has incredibly long range and lots of follow-up on it. But they still have champions like Nordis and Gragas who can catch players off guard. Really good reaction coming out from Insurgent. They need to keep doing this. Every time Axis try to push forward and muscle their way into fights with the gold advantage they have, Insurgent need to outmaneuver them, get more members there, find a pick, and then disengage. It's going to take a while, but they need to keep finding these picks in order to stabilize. And once they stabilize, then they can realistically look for these team fights. But even though their team fighting composition is good, Axis' team fighting composition is not necessarily bad. Yuumi, Jarvan, and Victor are all great team fighting champions, and Aurelia as well as Vayne can both single out individual targets during team fights.
Well, you saw that too, especially during that last bot lane fight where the Victor was able to get the ultimate off as well as the Death Laser. Ends up picking 2 more kills and now brings that total up to 4. He's pretty much almost got, I believe that is the fully upgraded Hex score now at this point.
Oh, Karina's a beast right now.
Yeah. No,
he's going to be dealing a lot of burst damage in these fights.
And that's right on cue with Belby now getting his Trinity Force. So now both mid laners have, you know, that power spike. But who do you rather like coming in? A Corki or a Victor that's going to be laying down that Chaos Storm?
Yeah, Karina's going to have a good time in this matchup now. You can see Shine is still continuing to push through top side of the map. Bottom lane turret for the side of Axis. They've almost been able to take down Insurgent's turret there. So that's going to be another turret advantage, opening up the side lanes, which Shine will be super happy about. It's like, yes, give me all the split pushing opportunities.
He's getting close to flame horizoning Polar at this point. I think you give him another 4 minutes, it could be possible.
Oh, he'll get there. Teleport's available for Shine as well, so they could actually try and set up plays to force this bottom lane turret to fall. I mean, Jarvan's already down here. Blaze will just take this one with ease. Very good reaction coming out from Insurgent, understanding that there's no way for them to realistically defend that turret. Just sacrifice it, give it to Axis, because it's a 4,000 gold lead. At this point in time, you're really looking to just try and take the small wins. Try and equalize. Don't bleed out too much. If you can bring this to something like 30 minutes at 4,000 or 5,000 gold, then you have a realistic shot. But right now, the gold lead is just devastating for them to try and force a fight against Axis.
Especially this bot lane, too, where we thought for it just naturally that Insurgent would actually have an advantage. You think they'd be able to wave clear, but because of all the fights that took place, unfortunately, Shout's getting caught out often during these. It's another tower that's now in favor of Axis, and immediately we're going to see Chili and Blaze look to rotate, get some deep vision, and next Q is going to be this mid lane tower. It's the last outer tier tower on the side here of Insurgent, and once Axis gets that, we usually see them take full control into that jungle.
It's almost 20 minutes in the match as well, so Axis can just force the shoves in the mid lane, force multiple members of Insurgents to be here, and then just take vision control. You can see how much good vision control they have over towards the Dragon Pit. Now just shift those over towards blue buff. Top lane out of turrets down, so Polar can't realistically push out by himself. If not, he'll be flanked around. And you can just sit your duo in the bot lane, keep Carino in the mid lane since the turret's still up there, and now pivot around Baron. It's a Vayne with Blade the Ruined King. With all the maximum percentage health damage that she has, they'd be able to chunk out Baron in no time, and it would make it very difficult for Insurgent to react.
Yeah, you can take a look at those gold totals, and though the side of Insurgents does have, you know, their solo lane and, of course, their bot lane AD carry, you know, getting themselves a decent chunk of gold, it's just Shine at the moment, who's sitting at 9,200 gold.
And if you look at this, you go, oh, that's not too bad. Insurgents still have 3 players at the top of that list, but the difference is the 2 players below them are 400 gold behind, whereas Carino and Shine are thousands of gold ahead of the competition.
That wave clear, that's available for the Victor. And they continue on, too, with the additional kills they picked up during the bot lane fight. It's looking very good here for Axis, as now Baron has spawned.
Dragon's coming up in a second as well, so they can always pivot towards that pit where they already have vision control.
Yeah, honestly, both sides of the river just have control. For Insurgents, they do have some defensive wards that go into their jungle, so if they do spot out Axis, maybe one or member, you know, separated from the rest of the team, they can look for a catch. But, man, Infernal Drake being picked up here, this is a little bit scary. That extra just generic damage that gets applied across the board on already healthy targets when it comes to gold totals. It's looking pretty disgusting. That was also the On the Hunt being popped there by Shout.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. You get him, Tiger.
That ult she does kind of just Shout. It fits the name.
Shout ulti.
But yeah, now that's not the Sivir ultimate available.
But Insurgent have done a good job of stabilizing a little bit. It's only about, you know, still only about 4,000 gold ahead for Axis, so no real major developments have taken place since 10,000 gold has been crested here by Shine. He's going to be very happy on this Aurelia pick. He's now pushing the bottom lane. And he'd say that Axis are realistically looking to try and chunk out this mid lane turret. and look to try and see if they can rotate towards Baron in the near future. Oh, look at that damage.
Yeah, just a quick poke from both the mage and the cat riding a book. As Caspiel, could almost say Caspiel this time around hasn't been necessarily the engage tool that we saw last game, more of a reactor when it comes to the teleports that we saw down in the bot lane. So a little bit of a change up in the playstyle, but still looking for plays because Belby does know they're here. Nice little flag drag combo, though, is going to get interrupted. That's going to force Caspiel to have to flash over the wall. Does bring Chili along with them.
That's what Insurgent needs to keep doing. If they
Caspiel?
find a way to get a pick onto players of Axis, they need to just keep taking those.
Teleport being used very quickly here by Polar. And it is actually interrupted, so Shine makes it so he can't join in on the fight. So a little bit of a quick use there, maybe pulling the trigger just a little too fast. And won't actually have that up and can't actually apply split lane pressure now with the Baron being up.
Now Shine has a teleport advantage. I mean, I think Insurgent should have just taken that they got Caspiel's flash. That's a small win. You take those. Only burning an Ignite for it, which is on a much shorter cooldown. Now Shine has a split push threat. Polar can't teleport into fights. Even more opportunity for Axis to set up for a big Baron play. They've just lost another part of their win condition, and it keeps happening. Shine just keeps taking more and more away from them.
Shout just wants to clear out this mid lane. Does have a bit of a CS advantage, but at this point now, you're looking more toward the team fights. And Blaze, too. He's been sitting on this recurve bow and this additional dagger for about 3 minutes. So I think once he backs, he might be looking at a completed item and a component. He's been farming away and is actually going to stay up toward that top lane. So we'll keep an eye there on the next back, as it will be a Mountain Drake joining us next, as Axis have already claimed one of those. So could look to stack that and then make it so the Baron gets instantly shredded with the bonus damages. And recalls coming in from Insurgents, so that should allow Axis to now get some pressure back into the jungle and clear out some of this vision. That's the one thing I'll give it to Insurgent most recently, is a decent amount of defensive wards have kept them pretty safe for the last couple of minutes, but now they're going to start getting cleared out.
It's also on the wrong side of the map. Their defensive wards are all towards their own red buff, which is on the bottom side of the map. Sure, we'll spot out Shine trying to make a cheeky rotation, but Axis's priority right now is over towards Baron and towards this mid lane outer turret. So those wards realistically need to be placed on the top side of the map. However, Caspiel is constantly working with Yuumi to sweep these out, clear out the vision, work as a team to make a show that Insurgents are blind. Because see now pushing back in, trying to pick up whatever they can, making sure they get some vision on Axis' side of the jungle.
The issue is, though, someone has to go down and deal with Shine, as
Who?
almost...
Who deals with Shine?
I don't think anyone can, Fish, because he's about to go back. I think he's going to get a completed... Oh, yeah, he's going BF sword. That's like, I'm going to guess GA with that. Yeah? No, Shine's going to become unkillable at this point.
Oh, God.
So what's your bets? You know, warrior that can float daggers and knives and swords, or
Infinity Edge.
Yeah, Infinity Edge.
Do it.
Think
You won't
Infinity
do
Edge?
it,
You won't do it?
but he should. Be funny.
It'd be funny. Be also a little concerning here for Insurgent. If you're getting beat by Infinity Edge Irelia. Still, Baron looking to be the main point of control. We could see Caspiel almost getting caught out, but the flag drag keeps them pretty safe. So every time there's some vision being gained here by Insurgent, they try and clear it out. They're able to, and then get back to safety. And again, this dance, which is, you know, for Axis, the game was already done at this point in game one. This time, we're seeing a very slow push after they gained their advantages early. It hasn't been an absolute snowball of a game, but it's starting to creep up as we're now approaching 5,000.
Axis don't need to force anything. Time is on their side. Dragons coming up, they can take those objectives very easy. Mid lane turret is slowly being chipped away, which will just break open the map. And the longer the game goes, the easier it is for them to secure Baron. Sure, the gold will be a lot less, but they're taking enough away from Insurgent that they're keeping up with the inflation of time in comparison to gold. So they take these small objectives, and 3,000 becomes 4,000, which, you know, keeps them relevant for another 3 minutes and just keeps rinsing and repeating. And they finally break down mid lane outer as well.
And I think with that, that's now when Axis can start making these plays toward Baron and fully committing. You now have your Infernal Drake secured. You have 2 Mountain Drakes. You got Rage Blade now online for this Vayne. Like you mentioned, she was going to already shred this apart earlier if they try and did it right away. Now it's going to go down extremely fast. And without the teleport being available, if the Gnar's in a side lane within the next 90 seconds and they decide to go for this, Axe should have the advantage. Looking for a possible setup play. Caspiel wants to go in on for an engage. They do have, again, the book being used. Chili's able to find Bell over toward the side. Depth charge is going to land onto the Vayne, but here comes Carino on the Victor, able to find it, but Bell able to put down a nice rocket and secure a double kill. Shine is nearby, and luckily for them, they don't actually chase through for the rest of the kills on the side of Insurgents, and a nice little punish.
Yeah, not quite sure what they're trying to do there. Caspiel sliding in. Yuumi is a very squishy champion, so untargeting herself away from Caspiel in the middle of that fight just meant that she got chunked out and killed.
Yeah.
Very aggressive play from Axis, and it's not what they need to do. Insurgents punish that very well. So well played to them. But teleport wasn't burnt there. Shine was actually just rotating over. All it costs them is a 2-for-1. So Insurgent will be very happy with that, and it's not something that Axis need to be too worried about. Just don't do it again, guys. Come on.
You know,
that was weird.
That's
very weird.
It was weird because like it was Caspiel like, hey, I want to take this like 3v2 or 4v2 at this point. And a nice little pickup here. You like Infinity Edges. There's one now for Belby, which on this Corki, you're getting another decent power spike. You're also getting some MR resist, so the Victor won't blow you up completely right away. Caspiel jumps in. I've seen this before, Fish.
Going on top of Martin.
They're going to try again, but here comes the teleport. Blaze going to be separated from the rest of the team, but Belby coming over toward the side. They're funneling into this choke point, but Martin's taken down before they can do anything else. And without the main engage that you see easily with the depth charge from the Nautilus, this might be the call from Axe to start up the Baron.
And teleport is available for Shine, but Polar's just came back up, so he's able to join this fight too.
He has Mega Gnar coming online here, so Axe will see. Here comes over toward the side. Shout rejoins, and now here comes Polar. Mega Gnar into the side. Can't find the targets, though, as they take out the Sivir. Blaze is traded back in response. Shine, though, is going to hunt down this big boy in the pit. Double kill. And the Baron helps him out as he's going to go ahead and even start it up himself. And Belby in mid lane gets tracked down. It's a shutdown onto Carino. And, man, he's tanky enough. He can just shred through this Baron himself.
Chaotic fight. Polar tried to get a big Gnar off, but unfortunately couldn't hit the right targets. Axis are going to take so much from this. They only lose Blaze. They get 3 kills in return, and they're going to pick up the first Baron buff of the game.
Adding on a quick 1,500. That brings up their gold lead to almost an 8,000 deficit that Insurgents now have to mount over. As you take a back look toward the gold ranking, Shine's almost full build at this point. 15K, he only needs 1 or 2 more. And that Aurelia is going to be pretty much unstoppable.
It's one of the first times I've actually seen a Vayne on the winning side so far down in terms of priority of picking up gold.
Right?
She's 500 gold ahead of their jungler. That's how little priority Blaze has had. So you think, oh, they killed Riven at the start of that fight. Yeah, that's great, but that's not where all the gold and Axis currently lies.
Right. Carino, too, also on this Victor, has been able to farm up for the majority of the game. He picked up early kills, so we saw a lot of damage that came out during those team fights.
He's level 17 as well, so he's got rank 3 ultimate.
Ooh. That's going to sting
he's
quite a
gonna
bit.
drop the base. It's going to be great.
Axe going to push as 4 in mid lane. Minions still a little bit out, but with that Baron buff, they should be able to crack open the second tier tower. They'd like to possibly look for this inhibitor tower with this first Baron buff.
Axis shouldn't even try to defend this one. It's going to go down.
Oh,
the inhibitor is something where they can put up a last stand, and that's what Insurgents should be looking for right now. Put up a last stand before majority of your base gets taken down, or before Axis get too much gold from this Baron buff, because they're hovering around 2,000 gold now. You don't want that to snowball into a 4,000 gold pickup coming from Baron. Try and force a fight earlier rather than later. Your chances of winning them are already so low. At least, you know, take the odds where it's much more favorable.
But immediately after the fact that now Baron was taken off and there's no real priority toward the top side of the map for the next couple minutes, you see the vision being laid down here on toward the side of Axis. Now looking for a pick on the side of Insurgent. If anyone steps forward, you see Castle. He's hunting. He realizes, hey, you got a control ward here. That's great. I'm going to defend to mind. And are you going to really try and risk your life here for a simple ward, as Caspial should be able to take it? And with Baron minions, that could be that second-tier tower going down as the cannon is able to keep firing.
And you've still got Shine topside of map split pushing against Corki, so Blaze will take down this turret nice and easy. You got Caspial just waiting the wing in case anyone comes towards him. He's going to try and go engage.
Polar gets caught out there, able to hyper away. But now the push is still going to be there. Mega Gnar is going to be available at this point. Depth Charge going to be used onto Caspial, is going to go into a big boy, has the Stone Plate available, Redemption, and now a re-engage. And there's the Victor laying down the damage from the side. And they just jump in, pile in onto the dog pit. And Hopeless, he's got nowhere to run. Double kill, add on to a triple kill for Carino. Shine isn't even part of this fight at this point. He's taking tower, he's playing PvE for the duration of this game.
Look, that's the fight that you want to take if you're Insurgent. It's not going to pan out for them. They didn't even have Corki in the fight, however. He just got solo killed by Shine in the top lane. A very clinical performance in game number 2, and a very clinical finish coming out from Axis.
And with Axis, that's going to be a clean 2-0 over Insurgent to start off their C-Tour run here in summer.
Yeah, I mean, picking up where they left off. Axis have always been a very clean team to watch. The way they've played League of Legends has always been very fantastic. It's always been very clean from start to finish. And I like that they've come into this against the third seed from Thailand and done the exact same playstyle that we expected out of them from spring.
Yeah, and we've seen during this, during the ban phase especially, you can throw so many bans at Shine, but he's got a
champion ocean.
He's got a deep ocean of
He's
champions.
got an ocean. We're in the sea tour, okay? He's got the sea behind him.
Pretty much there. The Aurelia coming up pretty huge, especially, like, you know it's going to be a tough game when your Gnar is pretty much soloed before level 6 twice. Like, that hurts. That really hurts.
It's 2 games in a row where Shine was able to set that up. 2 games where he was able to blow the top lane to teleport very early on and say, you know what, guys? We've got the advantage now. Make a play bot side.
And honestly, too, like, we didn't see that play until very late. Actually,
True.
if anything, it was matched there, and they were still able to take home the victory. So there's even still moments that Axis could look to improve and utilize more of their advantages, but they didn't need to here, it seems, against it.
No, they didn't have to, and that's what I liked about how they played today. They didn't force too much. There were some times where we saw a little bit of a force. You know, a couple of times it actually cost Axis a bit, but they didn't do it too often. They didn't try to bite off more than they can chew, which is some of the mistakes that Insurgent were making.
And this looked like a promising fight. Polar coming in, Mega Gnar. Oh, he got condemned. That hurts.
He just doesn't get what's going on. I have a bit of a spectator bug here. Everyone's doing the shuffle.
Well, you know.
Shuffle, Corgi, shuffle!
He's moonwalking backwards. I haven't seen that spectator bug in a while.
Oh, no. But, yeah, he didn't get the Mega Gnar that he wanted to get off in that fight. And it was an attempt coming up from Insurgents, I can say, but just wasn't the right one. They get put too far behind in these very early mistakes. And when you're playing against a team, you know, like Axis, like Mega, like Liab, you can't make these early mistakes because they're going to say, thank you very much. We're going to take that one thing you did wrong and we're going to win the game. And we saw that yesterday from Liab. 9,000 gold behind. One bad flag drag combo coming up from Rajab, and they said, thank you very much. We're going to win the game now. And that's what some of the best teams in the LST have been doing to the newcomers that joined the league.
And Axis have been even ones to make that kind of poor decision
Correct.
making too.
That's what cost them the finals.
Yeah, because we saw it. It was Shine, actually.
Yes!
On the Jax and the red buff pit, just soloing red buff with 4 members of the enemy team nearby. And we even saw at times during this game where Caspial went for that 2v4 into the jungle, trying to bite off a little bit more than he could chew. And it did end up giving Insurgent a breath of air, but Axis, they looked to suffocate them as they closed it out.
And the damage coming out from Carino is disgusting. Control mage meta in the mid lane, and you don't give him Victor. That's a you must target ban away LeBlanc and Victor. Don't let him have that. Yeah, Shine's a threat, but whatever you give Shine, you give him Teemo for all I can. The top lane, he's still gonna shine.
Yeah, honestly, if you take a look here, we were wondering, you know, for Blaze on that Vayne, he only did 5,000 damage, but MVP, I think it's safe to say here, it's going over to Shine.
Yeah, deserved. I mean, he set up the first few plays, got the solo kills in the top lane. You could argue Carino could have picked it up as well. I mean, he did have a really good game on his Victor, but I think given game 1 and game 2, Shine deserved at least one of them for his top lane plays, setting up the start of the match for Axis.
Yeah, you know, getting himself 2 back-to-back Flame Horizons, I believe, in both of those matches. And getting like a standing CS like leads early on in the match. We were looking at 40, 50 CS minions.
Just every top laner in the LST right now is going.
There's like, can he get subbed out, please? Come on.
Kiro, come back.
I have a chance, it would seem. But with that, it is, of course, Axis that are going to be able to take home the victory. And that's a good way to start off your summer split when it comes now into our regular season.
It's a good confidence boost coming from Axis because that was a miracle run for them in spring.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't even favorites in Southeast Asia. Not even favorites at all. Resurgence were the favorites coming in from the SAM region. And they didn't make it through. It was Axis Empire who made it through. Then they made it all the way to the finals. Everyone's like, where did they come from?
Right?
Took down Leah, get into the finals against Mega. And all 3 games, although Mega picked up, barring one of those matches, Axis actually in 2 of the 3 matches had a chance to win.
Yeah.
Including the last one where, again, it came down to a single mistake where Mega were just like, well, thank you for that one. We'll take the win off the back of that.
Thank you for the plane tickets. We'll see you in summer.
So I think it's a good confidence booster coming from Axis, coming back and playing clean, methodical League of Legends. And I can say, well, that's 1 of the 7 games down. We've got 6 more to go. Now we can, you know, prepare for those heavy-hitting matches with confidence that we can still play the style of League of Legends that we brought to the LST in Spring Split.
And speaking of a heavy-hitting matchup, we have Mega taking on Win coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick break.